Hey, you there, Tim?
What's up, guys?
Hey, man.
Hey, hey.
Welcome.
Excited to be
Yeah,
here.
we
Thanks for having me.
yeah. Just talking a little about the commercial empire thing, education you do now, and I wanted to get that out there and kind of go through what that is. We were just talking through it. When last time I seen you, what, 3 weeks ago in Key West, you're putting a lot of students through that event and really getting a lot of really good results with that. So,
Yeah,
um,
I mean,
yeah.
listen, like, here's the thing. I got started in real estate, um, doing the single family stuff, right? I got into single family flips, single family wholesaling, got into turnkey single family rentals, built up a management company, got into vacation homes. I've done it all, right? And then scaled into apartments. I own apartments and some self storage and some office as well. But as I was going through the process of just kind of growing, I did exactly what you guys are doing, right? Just sharing the story. I shared, how I sourced the deal, how I structured the deal, how I was going to renovate it, what the process looked like, how I just got screwed by a tenant, how I got burned by a contractor, how the neighbors called the cops on us, how a tenant did something at the property, and so I would just jump on social media and I'd talk about it. I'd structure um, or post pictures about the properties. And that turned into a lot of people hitting me up and saying, "Hey man, like this is amazing. Do you coach? Do you mentor? Is there a way that like, can I sell deals to you? Can I buy deals from you? Can I invest with you?" And the most common question was, "Do you mentor? Do you coach?" And so, yeah, in 2018, I decided to kind of put a little bit of a coaching platform together, which is Commercial Empire. And so, like my goal with Commercial, like first of all, I want everybody to know, like I don't we make money on the coaching side, but it is about 5%, 5 to 10% of what I make on an annual basis because I actually go out and do deals, right? And so I teach people how to go out and do deals. And the hope is that maybe we can do some deals together, right? Like I teach people how to go out and do their own deals. And then maybe there's a deal that's too big. Maybe you need access to capital. Maybe you need somebody to sign a loan. Maybe you need somebody to hold your hand through the process. And that's something that I'm totally cool being involved with. Like we have access to more money that we can deploy right now. So I'm looking for people to go out and source deals and kind of joint venture with them in some ways. And so that's kind of how Commercial Empire started out. And I used to work with a publishing company. They actually owned the brand and they did all the marketing, put on the events and everything. And then when COVID hit about a year ago, that whole everything got taken offline and it kind of threw their business for a spin, gave me an opportunity to actually buy the brand out. And so I bought the Commercial Empire brand and the mastermind, which you guys are obviously a part of, last year. And we're just kind of getting it rolling, man. It's all the same content that we had at the live event. That was $5,000 when you guys came out a little over a year ago. We've taken the exact same content, made it into a virtual event, and it's only $500 now. So there's a
Wow.
value for the price point. A lot of takeaways and a lot of insights. And I wouldn't be exaggerating if I told you guys that like many people have sent me messages saying it was the best event that they've ever attended. And it's all content driven, and it's just all A players, amazing networking and everything else. So we go over everything on how to buy apartment buildings. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
a lot that goes into apartment buildings, right? But we go over the framework of how to find deals, how to find off-market direct-to-seller deals, the framework on how to raise private money, how to obtain financing, how to structure all of that together, and then how to close on the deal. And what does the operations look like the project management, the renovations, the lease up, the property management, the asset management, stabilizing the deal, and then what are the different exit strategies? Do you sell it? Do you wholesale it? Do you refinance it and hold it long term? Which is obviously, the one that we talk about the most, which is building legacy wealth, right? Like having an asset that kicks off cash flow, that pays down principal over time on your loan amount, that appreciates over time, and all of a sudden 10, 20, 30 years down the road, you got all this equity built up, and it allows you to really build life-changing type wealth. So I'm not the guy who says only go out and buy 100-unit buildings. I'm the guy who says let's go do some deals, right? Like let's get you into a 10-unit, a 20-unit, a 50-unit, a 5-unit. Like just get the momentum rolling. I think that's the most important part of getting things going. If you can't raise money and take down and operate a 5-unit, how do you expect to do the 50-unit or 150-unit? Like let's get you the momentum built up. Let's get the insights going, and and start taking down deals, right? Like let's just little steps, right, in order to build the big portfolio. So yeah, I mean, like I started where everybody else started. Like I came out of college and built up a real estate business just in flipping some houses. I bought my first house on my credit card because I had no money when I was 23 years old, and I'm 35 today, and I have a little over 4,000 apartment units. And so I could say I was really bad at real estate for the first 7 or 8 years, and I got pretty good about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just kind of allowed me to really dial in our operations, really understand what matters, like what you should be spending your time on and what you should not be spending your time on, and how to increase the income, how to decrease the expenses in order to really develop a lot of value in these properties.
Yeah, so let's unpack some of that, because that was a lot there from the high level of the deal. But when you go through the commercial empires, I think it's 2-day event now. So I know it was in person, but you go through it and you spend a lot of time going really deep in different categories. And I've got this broken down to I think about 7 different categories. But the first one's the foundation. I think that's really important that you figure out what your model is. We call it the Bratz model, but it's basically glorified version of the Burr method, which is, if someone's not familiar with that, it's buy the property, distress, renovate it, rent it out, refinance it, and then repeat. So that's basically what you're doing. Instead of one door or a duplex or quadplex, you're doing 100 units or 50 units, whatever the size of the complex is. So you want to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go into like defining the deals and how to figure it and all that. So,
right, we want to like give value while we're here. So and if somebody wants to come out to Commercial Empire, awesome. I'm sure you guys will share the link and stuff. And I really appreciate you guys, putting this out to your audience. I know that you guys believe in it big time, and I know that I don't take it lightly that you would trust me to coach and mentor people who look up to you guys and all the cool things that you have going on. So appreciate you guys having me here, first of all.
Yes.
So the foundation, I think foundation is really important, right? Like you can't build a house without having the foundational elements of it. And so the foundational elements that we hit on at the event are really like, hey, Tim, where'd you get started? What's your backstory? A lot of people ask me about that. But then from an investment standpoint, it's like, what is commercial real estate? Why is commercial real estate better or worse than single family properties? Why is our apartment buildings more scalable? What are the benefits? What are the tax advantages? What are things that can help you grow quicker with apartments than you can do with single family? So we hit on some of that. We also hit on the a lot of the risk mitigation strategies. I mean, obviously, everybody knows we're in a super hot market. It's been pretty hot for the past couple of years with interest rates dropping. Prices have gone up. People are buying houses and properties like they buy their cars, right? Like it's just based on monthly payment. So can you afford the monthly payment? Don't worry about the property purchase price. And so that can get a little bit dangerous, right? And I'm a believer that there's deals in every market, whether the market's up or the market's down. There were good deals a year ago and there were bad deals a year ago. There's good deals today and there's bad deals today. There will be good deals a year from now and there will be bad deals a year from now. How do you have a proper business strategy, business model, and buying strategy to buy properties and not get burned on it? How do you go out and buy apartment buildings in the peak of a market and do it in a way that reduces risk? And I think there's several risk mitigation strategies. And several of them that we hit on are, one is buying at a wholesale price, right? Never paying retail for anything. Another one is creating appreciation by putting sweat equity into the property. We don't speculate on appreciation. If we get it, that's great, but we're going to create the appreciation. We're going to force it ourselves by putting sweat equity into the property. Another one's buying for cash flow. I think, flipping houses and a lot of that stuff that you see out there right now can be a little bit speculative and a little bit risky. But when you're buying for cash flow, I don't care if values go to zero. Values go to zero, but you have a renter in place that's paying for the operational costs of your property, and they're paying for the mortgage on your property, and it's putting cash in your pocket every single month. Guess what? Like, there's still value to that, right? Yeah. And so if you still have an asset that's cash flowing, you can ride out any sort of economic storm that occurs, any sort of market cycle that occurs, and at least just let the property cash flow for the next 2, 3, 4 years until it's time to, refinance it or sell it or however you want to exit it in the future. So that's a few of them, making sure we check every single box on the due diligence checklist, making sure that people understand, like, we try to kill deals. When I go into a deal, I'm looking for reasons to walk away from it. Why? Because if you cannot kill a deal, that's when you know it's a really good deal. And so we go through that whole process and talk about all the different exit strategies and making sure people are aware of some creative exit strategies, financing strategies, and all that different kind of stuff.
I know one thing too for us, and I think a lot of people get caught in this too, is, maybe they understand kind of what you do in the BRRRR method or what, the framework of it, but then they start doing some marketing, start finding some brokers, start sending them some stuff, or they see something for sale on LoopNet or Craigslist, whatever. And then they're like, oh no, what do I do with it? Is this a deal or is it not? And they have fear of missing out, but they also have fear of getting in a bad deal. So I think that's what's really helped us, is being able to analyze, going through your program, your mentorship, daily calls, all that type of stuff that we've been a part of, is really being able to make sense of what is a deal and what isn't a deal. And that, I think, really holds a lot of people back, of analysis paralysis, whatever you want to call it, of, what do I do with it? Now I'm getting some deal flow, some off-market deals are coming my way, but is it a deal? Is it something I want? And what's the price? Do I pay what they're asking? Is it worth what they're asking? Do I low? All those things around what the purchase price is, and what the property can be based on what you can get it to. And so that's something that really helped us, is the underwriting side of it. And it's not so much what the property is doing. Like you said, your force appreciation is to go in and find what it can be if you put some money in it, and then evaluate it off of that. It ain't a cap rate sale. What you're buying is not a cap rate sale based on just what it's at now, unless it's stabilized. But your model has been heavy value add stuff. So it's not about, you may pay 2 points less on current financials on what it's doing in a distressed state on a cap rate. Maybe the cap rate's 7 and the actual what it's doing is 5, but you're looking at a year from now when I can get 150 more rents or whatever it is, and really be able to make sense of those numbers.
I think that whole side of things is, what do I do with the deal, right? Like,
right.
A lot of people get really scared on, okay, I can get deals, but what do I do with it? How do I underwrite it? That seems like this insurmountable hurdle to overcome for many people. But we figure out a way to really simplify it, really underwrite a deal in a couple of minutes. So first of all, how do you get the deals, right? Like, we source deals not only through brokers. I think once you get some momentum built up and once you get a little bit of a reputation, you can definitely go through brokers. But we find deals a lot of the same ways that you find off-market deals in the single family side. So we'll go and do driving for dollars, right? And so we'll look for houses and buildings with tall grass and boarded up windows. We'll dial for dollars, call for sale by owners, call for rent by owners, and say, hey, we're not interested in renting your place. I'm looking to buy the entire building. There's a lot of different ways to find distressed sellers today. Eviction court, right? Like, you think about the eviction moratoriums that are going on right now. There's a lot of motivated landlords out there who don't know what to do with their property. They're not good management. They don't have operations outlet. Maybe they have a full-time job and they have this 10-unit building that's kind of mom and pop owned, and they don't know how to professionally manage it. So how do you get in with all of them? So you go to eviction court. You can talk to real estate attorneys. You can talk to CPAs. You can talk to all the different vendors that work with commercial landlords. And we go over a lot of those different strategies, including direct mail, outbound phone calls, text message blasting, like as tactical and technical as you want to get into it, or as simple as picking up the phone and just banging out phone calls, right? So, but we're sourcing off-market deals, because then you don't get into a bidding war. You're much more likely to get to be able to negotiate a better deal on the property, and it buys you a little bit more time versus having your back against the wall and saying, hey, all bids are due this date. Nobody wants to deal with that. So we want off-market direct-to-seller type deals. Then from there, right, we can underwrite it, make some offers. How do you value it? How do you underwrite it? It seems so complex, but the reality is it's a simple balance or income statement, right? It's a profit and loss statement. What we do is we look, just like a business is valued based on what is the net operating income of that business. Investment real estate is valued based on what is the net operating income of that property. And so you can go into a 20-unit apartment building and look at what is the income minus the expenses. What is the net operating income? Then the value is based on a multiple, a cap rate of that net operating income. So if you take a look at it from a standpoint of, if it's based on a multiple of an NOI, then that means I just need to increase the NOI. All right, great. So how do we increase the income, or how do we decrease the expenses? That'll both improve the net operating income, and that increases the value of the property. So, you can do it in a lot of different ways. One of which is renovating and improving the property, bumping up the rents, adding certain services, adding certain amenities. And then from an expense standpoint is, how do we reduce the utility bills? How do we reduce or appeal the property tax assessment? We can shop the property insurance. We can reduce turnover, reduce vacancy rates. All those different kinds of things lead into increasing the value of the property. And we hit on each one of those things one by one to go over that. But Jeremy, you mentioned something a little bit earlier that, like, I think is a really important piece. Is a lot of people look at apartment buildings and they value it based on what is it doing right now. That plays a small part, because it's going to adjust your cash flow as you own the property for at least the first 12 months. But the reality is, if you go and flip a house, I don't care about what it looks like today. I care about what it's going to look like in 6 months once it's renovated. I care about what it could sell for in 6 months once it's renovated. And so that's a big misconception with a lot of people when they look at apartment buildings. They think it's, what is today's value? I'm looking at what is the value in 12 to 24 months once we renovate it, once we add the amenities, once we reduce the utility bills, once we reduce turnover, once we bring in qualified property management. And once we do all those things, then what is it worth? And that's really what you should be focused on. And then you can backtrack into the numbers in a very simple way from there. You're muted, dude. Still can't hear you. I'll keep talking if you guys want me to.
All right, I think I got it now. I dropped out on the Wi-Fi, I guess, earlier and disconnected. So I don't know what's going on. So I turned my Wi-Fi off.
Your internet bill, dude.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I need to get my own subscription, I guess. But no, you do a great job of really simplifying that and being able to make an offer, within minutes, and not waste a lot of time, just digging through every number when it doesn't even matter, because you're miles apart on the offer. But then, so now we know where to find them. You go through how to see what is the deal, and then you go through, all right, now we get it under contract. Now what do we do with it? Now we got to buy it and get it closed. So that's a lot of light bulb moment. When a lot of light bulbs went off for us going through the program about how you do your private money, how you treat those people, how you pay them, give them equity, give them perpetuity, give them basically, once you refinance out, you get your money back and you're still in it, the infinite return. So just a lot of takeaways there if you want to touch on some of those of how you fund the deals as well.
Yeah, man, I think what you got to realize is the money is one of the engines that you got to have in order to be in this game, right? Does it have to be your own money? No. Like, I have a $335 million portfolio. We're buying a $70 million deal, another $5 million deal in the next 30 days. So I have, in my portfolio is going to be north of $400 million in the next 30 days. You know how much I've ever personally invested? 125 grand. That's it. Into deals, right? So you're thinking, well, Tim doesn't have skin in the game. Well, I sponsor every single loan, so I do have skin in the game. I'm essentially responsible for 80% of our total cost basis. But even if it's a non-recourse loan, we have invested a ton of time and a ton of resources. And the thing is like, I also don't take any money off the table. So traditional syndication is very different than the way that we syndicate. Traditional syndication is more of it's a fee game, right? They take an acquisition fee, they take a fundraising fee, they take an asset management fee, a dispositions fee, and there's a lot of different fees that the operating partner gets. Now the investor might get 70% of the deal, but they're only getting 70% of the cash flow if the property's cash flowing in a traditional syndication. And if the property's not performing, then they're not making any money. So it's not really congruent. All of a sudden the operator is making money, but the investor is not making money on a value add deal. That never really resonated with me. And I wanted to make sure my investors got treated exactly how they wanted to be treated. And I realized investors want two things. They want a predictable return on their investment along with upside. If you're going to get rich on this, isn't it fair that if I brought the money, I should get some of the upside too? And I think, yes, I think it's totally fair. So we structured it in a way that's kind of a hybrid of a debt and an equity structure where they invest with us and we pay a fixed return on their investment regardless of the property's performance. Now we can do that, and it's very predictable for us because we know that we can stabilize pretty much any property in a 12 to 18-month time frame, regardless of the size of it. So it allows us to say, hey, I'm going to pay them X number of dollars every single quarter for the next 2 years, and then we're going to be able to refinance the property and cash them out and pay them back. So I don't take any fees. I get paid, and well, I guess we started taking a small acquisition fee on about half of the deals that we do. So about 50% of the deals we do take an acquisition fee, but we don't take asset management. We don't take any of those other fees that a lot of other syndicators take. Why? Because I want to be in the boat rowing in the same direction as our investors. I want our goals to be aligned to the point where when they get their money back and they take all their chips off the table, they no longer have any risk. That's when I get paid. That's when I get compensated, right? So they make a fixed return regardless of the property's performance with us. They get all their money back, and then we go and roll their money. We own the property with a new loan, non-recourse loan, and they keep equity in the deal forever. Now they typically have somewhere in the 20 to 30% of the ownership in the deal forever, but traditional syndication might take 5 years and they might own 70% of the deal. But one of our deals might take 2 years and they'll own 20 to 30% of the deal. So if they own 25%, but I can roll them into maybe 3 deals in the same amount of time as a single traditional syndication. So really now they have 25% of 3 deals, which is the same as 70% over here, right?
Yeah. And traditional, they're sponsoring the loans too, right? On traditional syndication.
Sometimes they have to sponsor the loan or at least sign on the paperwork because they're the
more than 25%
on equity of the deal. Yeah. So it's just a little bit different of a structure. Traditional syndication actually makes sense if it's a stable deal. If you're going to go buy $100 million office building and it's 90% occupied and it's cash flowing and management's in place, you don't have to do any work to it, and you can sit on it for the next 10 years, traditional syndication actually makes a lot of sense there. If it's a value add deal though, and you're going to be the one finding the deal, and you're going to be the one overseeing renovations for the next 12 months, and you're going to be the one asset managing it for the next 10, 20 years, I think you as the operator deserve to earn a little bit more equity. And so you're the one creating the value there. The returns are far outweigh traditional syndication for the investors as well, because we're able to cycle their money more. And that cycling of the money takes the return and really jumps it up quite a bit over that same timeline. But yeah, anyways, so we structure the deal. Essentially, high level is, let's say we're going to buy a building and we're all into it for $6.5 million, and it's going to be worth $10 million when we're all said and done. On that $6.5 million, we'll go and get a bank loan for $5 million of it, and we'll raise private money for $1.5 million of it. On that private money of $1.5 million, we pay them 10% annually over the course of, let's call it 2 years. After 2 years, the property's stable, it's renovated, it's rented out to quality tenants, good management's in place. We can then refinance it at, let's say, a 70% loan to value loan, LTV loan. So they're looking at $10 million. They're giving us a new loan at $7 million. With that $7 million, we pay off the $5 million construction loan. We pay back the investors their $1.5 million. And then there's some refinance proceeds. With those refinance proceeds, that gets carved up amongst you, me, and the equity investors. And now it's just house money in play, right? So now it's a non-recourse loan. We can sit on it as long as we want. We got a lot of different exit strategies from there. So that's high level on how we structure the deals. And I introduced you guys to all the resources, like Chris Litzer, our commercial mortgage broker, and there's a lot of people with a lot of capital that come out to our events. There's typically 2 types of people that come out and you get to network with. One is the active operator who can source deals and operate, project manage, property manage these things. And then there's other people who are like, hey, Tim, I love what you're doing. It just seems like more work than I want to do, but I have money or I have access to money. I just wanted to learn how to underwrite these deals and how to passively invest with some really good operators that are here in the room. And so it's both, right? So now you got the deal flow and you got the money flow. Now you just have to be able to refine some of the operations, and that's what we get into after that. So once we take down the deal, then day 2 is a lot about operations and how to operate the deal, how to build out a team. If you don't have a team yet, like who's your first hire? How did Tim build his team? And I go over my entire organizational structure, how I compensate everybody on my team, whether they get salary or profit share or they're an equity partner. And so we go over all that kind of stuff. We talk about how we renovate the deals and what kind of flooring we put in. We actually provide our suppliers, our contractors who are national contractors, our management company, and all these different people that we do business with that we don't make no money off of. If you want to do business with them, great. If not, no problem. That's who we do. And this is like 11, 12 years of getting punched in the face over and over and over again and messing up with bad vendors and bad contractors and bad suppliers and bad CPAs and bad insurance agents in order to find the best in the industry today and shortcut that by 10 years, right, for the attendees. So it's a way that they can get all those insights and have those resources and get a fast jump start on their investment business. Daniel,
You're muted.
You're muted, buddy.
Sorry about that.
Fun time with the
We're
mute
real
button.
tech savvy, I guess you can tell. A couple things I want to hit on what you just mentioned. You know, we were blown away when we started your course, and actually the first event we went to, how much information you do give out and give away. You guys don't just pop the hood; you disassemble the thing in front of us and build it back. You give out all of your secrets. And, you know, at first I was like, wow, why would they do that? But you really do. You want to partner up with people like us that go through your courses and that learn how to operate them. And we have partnered up.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, we're a partner here in Sawtell on the 32 units. And then we've done some investment in investing in your deal. So that makes sense why you would do that. But at first it didn't, because you do get so granular with what you do behind the scenes, and I was thinking, man, you're just giving away all your trade secrets. But
we really do, and it's actually a double-edged sword, because I've had some people say, you know what, I can go and do this on my own, right? Like I had a buddy with a lot of money, and he went and deployed it. And he's like, I don't need to passively invest. You know, I'll just go and learn this business on my own. And you know, he didn't join a mastermind or anything like that. He's from a totally different industry, and he just went and deployed $20 million into buildings and got burned. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you call me? Right? Like, I can help you out with all this stuff. And but you don't have to worry about it. You guys started with, let me take down this building. Let me take down this building. Let me try this one. Let me passively invest and get insights on that side. There was one deal where you guys like, hey, Tim, I can raise the money myself. We can sponsor the loan ourselves. We don't need you on that. But we want you to kind of hold our hand on the deal, just because we're syndicating it for the first time. We want to make sure that we're not dropping the ball with any of the investor communication and underwriting and this and structure and all those different kinds of things. Set you guys up on the 32 unit building. Now you guys know how to do it when you guys come across a 132 unit building, you know, and you don't need me anymore. But it's a cool way that gets you guys involved in more deals, and there's a comfort level there, and it gets me involved in more deals and that I couldn't have gotten into before either. And so it's not like you don't have to bring deals to me, but if there's a deal that you want me involved in, I'd love to. And there's other people, like, it's not just me. Like, there's a lot of other qualified people at Commercial Empire that end up partnering up and start doing deals together. And I'm not involved in those deals at all. And if they come across something where they want me involved, I'd be happy to. But it's just cool. It's a cool community of people actually going out and doing deals. I don't know another community of multifamily coaching and classes that actually has the amount of people doing the number of deals that our community has. It's really, you know, something that we're really proud of.
It is. Last night I was watching a guy on Facebook Live. He does some, I guess maybe, I don't know that he mentors, but he talks some real estate. And a young investor or somebody that was wanting to get into some real estate was asking where to start. And I think the guy was 25ish. And he told him, he said, don't spend your money on training and don't spend your money on gurus. And I was thinking, man, what's some bad advice? So speak on that for a minute. Why would you tell somebody that? Why not spend some money to educate yourself to where you're not making the mistakes that you've made in your 10, 15 years of experience? How would you answer that question, Tim?
Yeah, man, I think, listen, I totally get it. There's a lot of people out there, gurus, especially in the single family world. That's what really gives it some bad rap. Because it's literally easier to make $1 million selling coaching than it is to flip and make $1 million flipping houses. And so there's a lot of gurus out there who don't even do the business in single family, and they just go into coach, and it creates a really, really bad taste in people's mouths. Multifamily and commercial real estate is very different. Like, again, I make 90% of my money in doing deals than I do in 10% in coaching. And we have a great coaching business. Like, we make a lot of money in coaching. It's a multi 7-figure business. And so what does that tell you? There's a lot more money in doing deals. So my goal isn't to make money from coaching. My goal is to do deals and be involved in doing deals. So I think one depends on who the guru or who the mentor is, right? Are they a guru or are they a do-ru, right? Like that's the play on words that you hear once in a while. The other thing is, like, I totally get why somebody would say, hey, just go, like, don't read about it in a book, right? Just go out and do it. And I tell people to do that too. Like, I just went out and did it. I definitely spent money on single family courses and all that kind of stuff. But it's like swimming. Like, you're not going to learn how to swim by reading about swimming in a book. You actually have to go out and do it. So it's really important that if you're going to come out, like, don't just blow money. Like, dude, I got a garage full of $500 mistakes, right? Like golf clubs and like I don't know, all these different goofy things that are in my garage. I spent $500 for, and I never use them, right? And so if you're not going to use it, obviously don't plug in. But like, to be able to fast track your success and lean on somebody who's messed up for 12 years in real estate and learn from all their mistakes, learn from all their wins, plug into all their resources and steal all their access to their insurance people and their CPA secrets and all these other things that took them 12 years to learn, and you can expedite it and do it in 3 to 5 years. Like, that's a big gap that you can jump. Now, you guys were already kind of doing some stuff, right? Like, you guys already had 60 units or something around there?
Yeah. Yeah, we had done 2 deals. One turned out to be a really good deal, but the second one wasn't. So, had we have been in your course early, we probably wouldn't have done the second deal.
Yeah, and listen, you guys learned a ton from it though, right? And you're not out of the game. Everybody thinks, if I do a bad deal, I'm going to be totally out of the game. No, like, there's still value in it. The cool thing about multifamily is, even if you mess up on a deal, you just hold it longer, right? You just can't sell it or refinance it. You just let it pay down principal on the mortgage. You let it appreciate for the next couple of years. And then eventually you're at break even again and you can't sell it. So, like, if that's the worst case scenario in getting into commercial real estate, like, you're in a pretty good spot. But you got to do both, right? Like, you got to get educated and you got to do the activity. Like, I don't want people to just spend money and not do anything with it. That's no good for me. That's no good for you. I want people who are going to come out and actually do deals. And dude, I'm 35 years old. I want to be doing deals with people for the next 30 years, 40 years of my life. And I think that's pretty exciting. I think we're all just getting started. I can't imagine, like, I think about you guys. I think about what you guys have done just in the past 12 months with all your passive investments, with all your new acquisitions on the active side, and the refinance that you're going through with Chris Litzler, who you met at Commercial Lending. And does Drew do you guys' insurance?
We're talking with him now, but he wasn't right in Mississippi till here this year. So
cool. So it's like think of all the progress you guys have, and you guys came out in November of last year. So it's been 12 months, right? And so I'm thinking of, like, 12 months. Most people overestimate what they can do in 12 months. They all grossly underestimate what you can do in 3 to 5 years. And so if you can take insights from this group and this community and what took me 12 years, and you can do it in 3 to 5 years, like, think about that. It's a season.
Worth $500.
It's a season of your life, and you think about, like, what can you accomplish if you I built my portfolio. Yeah, I've been in real estate longer, but I built my current portfolio in the past 5.5 years, and that's over 4,000 units. And you think about, like, if you put your head down and you don't look left, you don't look right, you just work. Like, what can you accomplish? It's remarkable. I don't even set goals longer than 5 years anymore because of how quickly things change. And so, for me, I think about that, and I mean, hey, if you want to come out to the course, awesome. If you don't, no problem, no sweat. And but I think about, like, what if you got a deal from it? What if you found an insurance contact that saved you $500 a year, let alone $500 one time? What if you walked away from a deal because of one thing you learned at that event that saved you hundreds of thousands of dollars of expenses and years of headache? What if, like, so, you know, I totally get what that guy was saying is don't pay for a guru, but I, I think if you have the acumen to go and do a deal, you should coincide with that and get education, because see, they can never take this away from you. If you drop me in any city in the entire country, took all my real estate away, I could go to a library, I could find a deal, and I would figure out how to raise money from the local real estate investors association and all these different local resources. And I could put a deal together inside 90 days. I promise you that I could do that. And so, like, if I wasn't educated, how, like, you know, so I think you got to do both. I think you got to work on the mindset and you got to actually do the activity. And as long as you're committed to doing both of those things, I think it's the collaboration of both of them that excels people.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about two of those things.
To somebody just getting going in multifamily, I mean, it can look like a huge mountain of, you know, of stuff to learn, from the acquisitions to the doing the work, you know, all the way through. And so, you know, what you guys give for $500, I mean, that it's unbelievable. Now that is your online, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
also,
it used to be $8,500, and then it was about 5,000 when we were still doing the live events.
Yeah.
But we went online, and it was my decision to make it $500. I could totally charge 5G still. People did pay when COVID hit. The first event after COVID was virtual. It was still $5,000,
yeah.
and we still sold a ton of tickets, and people got a ton of value out of it. You know, to me, it's. You guys heard me say this. I think wealth is like sunshine, right? Like, you guys getting wealth takes no wealth away from me. You guys getting sunshine takes no sunshine away from me. There's an abundance of it. And I don't think it's competing with people. I think it creates more of a collaborative effort. And I think we can do more deals. I think as you guys continue to grow and you come across a 700 unit portfolio and you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's lean on Tim to help co-sponsor this deal and take it down together. Me giving up my secrets to you all of a sudden created more opportunity for me, and it created more opportunity for you. And even if you didn't call me, I don't know, hey, worst case scenario, you guys write a book when you're billionaires in 30 years and you say, hey, it all started because I went out to Tim Bratz's event. Like, that's cool enough for me, you know? Like, I just want to see people succeed. I think watching people succeed, watching people win elevates the entire country, elevates the future that our kids grow up in, elevates the community, and we don't have all this garbage that we're dealing with right now. So I think if everybody was financially aware and financially literate, again, it supports the entire country, the entire world.
I wanted to add to that too, because, you know, a lot of people think of real estate investment as passive, right? That's what a lot of these fake gurus sell, is the passive mailbox money. It's just, you know, you find a multifamily and then it's, your worries are over, right? Then it's a lifestyle. So it is a lot of work. But to somebody that is looking to get in this business, maybe they understand what, at some level, what can be built. But maybe if you could do a deep dive or of a deal you did that's an attainable first, second, or third deal, maybe $1 million, $2 million range, and show them what kind of numbers is possible within 18 to 24 months on a value add deal, and show that it is worth doing all the work that we just have talked about in the last hour, and what can be built in that time frame. You know, they look at you, that's a stretch to say, you know, 5 years I can be like Tim and have 4,000 units, but realistically they could, in a couple of years, they could have 1,000, or let's just say 100 units. You know, you talk a lot about one deal can completely change your life, but maybe work through just like a 40, 50 unit deal you did get going. Because I know you didn't start at 100 unit deals, you were doing the small deals and worked your way up, but kind of show the power of what we're talking about here, what they're going to get from this if they do these type of deals for sure. on the number side.
I think that's a great point. And I kind of want to go back to that of 4,000 units. Dude, I didn't think I'd be at 4,000 units. My goal was a $100 million portfolio. In 2015, I wanted to get to a $100 million portfolio. There's no chance I thought that I'd be at 400 million in 5.5 years. But let me give you metrics. 2015, I bought 84 units. 84 units in 2015. This is after I had a partnership. We had, I don't know, about 100 units, a little over 100 units. Had to liquidate everything in 2015, and I ended up just kind of going out on my own again. So I had some experience, but I was not as sophisticated as I am today, right? So I had flipped houses, and I had, picked up some rentals. I was doing 100% of the work myself. I didn't have a team or anything. And I started building that out in 2015. So picked up 84 units in 2015, picked up 193 units. Hang on. There's 134 and a 60 unit. So 194 units in a 60 unit building and 134 unit building in 2016. In 2017, so that put me at what, like around 270 units. In 2017, I bought my office. I bought an 11 unit building, a 9 unit office, bought an 11 unit building. I bought a 20 unit building. I bought some land to build another 80 units on. And I think that's it. So put me up around, I don't know, let's call it 400 units. 2018 is when I really started growing, right? So year one, 80 units. Year two, I bought 200 units. Year three, I picked up another 150 units, let's call it. Year four is when I caught momentum. Year four is when I bought a 48 unit building, another 74 unit building, and then I took down, and so I was around like 600 units or something at that time. And then I bought a 730 unit portfolio. I doubled my portfolio like overnight. I was up to 1,400 units. And then the latter part of that year, I picked up another couple small buildings. And so, I think about that, and I think about 2018, boom, grew like crazy. 2019, I bought 2,000 units, and in 2020, I bought 1,000 units. So again, it's this gradual takeoff effect. You don't accomplish, you think about 4,000 units, you're like, I got to pick up 500 this year. That almost becomes overwhelming. It's not it. There's a compound effect. There's a snowball effect. You gain more momentum in years 3, 4, and 5. That's why you just got to put your head down and commit 5 years to it, right? No matter what you do, any business that you're going to launch, you need to commit at least 5 years. It's the 10,000 hour rule. You think about the 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, right? That's 2,000 hours per year. It takes 5 years to hit 10,000 hours. That's when they say that you become a professional and an expert in whatever industry that you're in. So it takes, obviously we're entrepreneurs, dude. Like we think about this stuff all the time, and we're probably dedicating more than 40 hours a week, at least mental energy. And so that's why we can probably do it in 3-4 years. But those first few years, we're very, very slow on the growth side of things. But I just want to make that point real quick. So to your point, or to your question on what does it look like from a standpoint of having a small or getting a chew. My dog's flipping out. Do you guys hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, let me just let him. He always like jumps on me and stuff. Whatever. Come here, buddy. Come here.
He just wanted to come inside.
The ocean out there.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering if you were in Charleston or not.
Yeah, dude, you guys should come over here and visit. I got the guest house.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
I was talking to Daniel.
Okay.
I can talk about my first deal. My first deal was an 8 unit apartment building in a C-class area. It was, I bought it, and I bought it at the bottom of the market though, right? So I bought it and I was all into it for like 10,000 a unit, but it was kind of in a rough neighborhood. It was pretty distressed. I had to put some work into it. I bought it for 30 grand. I put 50 grand into it, and it was a pig. It wasn't as nice as what our renovated properties look like now. But I just needed to make it occupiable. But I bought this building and 8 units. It was all in for $80,000, and it netted $27,000 a year with me managing it. So it's like a 30%, more than 30% cap rate on this thing. And I was just like, this is the scale that I was looking for. So I bought another 8 unit building. I'm going to go over kind of like the numbers that are fresh in my head are a 48 unit building that I just refinanced a couple months ago. So this is the Sheffield Lake building that I have. It's 48 units just west of Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I'm from originally. And this is a couple suburbs to the west of Cleveland. Sent out an email to a bunch of residential wholesalers, and we said, hey, we're looking to buy apartment buildings. Somebody replied and said, hey, I got this 48 unit apartment building. I don't know what to do with it. To you guys' point, they don't know how to underwrite it. So this woman just discarded the lead. She sends it over, forwards an email to us, and we end up underwriting the deal and realize we can buy this 48 unit apartment building for $1.4 million. So bought it for 1.4. we had to pay her, and there was kind of a broker involved that we had to pay. So, I mean, she forwarded an email. We paid her 1%. So we paid her $14,000 for forwarding an email. And then there were some broker fees and closing costs. So we were, by the time we closed on it, it was about $1.5 million. We expected to put 400 grand in, and we ended up putting 650 into the property. This is before we bought it, a little bit before we did as in-depth due diligence as we do today. So we didn't scope the plumbing lines, and that came back to bite us in the butt a little bit. Now we scope every single plumbing line, no matter what. But anyways, over the course of 2 years, we renovate the building, clean it all up, turn over a lot of the tenants that weren't paying. We put in granite countertops, all new kitchens, all new flooring, all new bathrooms, new fixtures, new paint, resurfaced the parking lot. I think we put in all new windows, and we're in the process of actually putting a roof on. So we're all into it for like, let's call it $2.15 million. Now I want to put another 100 G's into the roof. So let's call it $2.25 million is what we're all into it for. But we were able to get it stabilized at 95% occupancy without doing the roof. So it allowed us to go and refinance the property with our lender. We went to Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac gave us a non-recourse loan, and the property appraised after 2 years of work for $3.25 million. We're all into it for 2.25. It appraised, and that's with us, putting on a roof. And that's and it appraised for 3.25. So we created $1 million of equity in a 24-month period. Now it's not just me. I have a investor involved. They have 20% of the deal in perpetuity. They made 10% of their money, and then they get 20% of the deal in perpetuity. They had to bring $450,000. And so they made 10% a year on their money, and then they get 20% of the equity. So there's not really refinance proceeds that we took out of it because of the COVID thing. They made us escrow a bunch of money. But of that $1 million in valuation, that increases that investor's net worth by $200,000, 20%, right? So not only did they make 10% of their money, but they also increased their net worth they got all their money back, and it increased their net worth by another 200 grand. Sweet deal for the investor. Then between me and the JV partner, we had 80% of the deal. So me and the joint venture partner, we did all the work. We found the deal, we renovated it, we got the loan, we raised the money. I came out of pocket a little bit extra, what we were out of pocket for on the renovations. And I'm the one who sponsored the loan. My team's asset managing it forever. And for that, we got 80% of the deal between me and our joint venture partner. And it increased our net worth by $800,000. So I didn't take an acquisition fee. I didn't take asset management fees. I didn't take any fees. And we thought we'd get a bunch of refi proceeds. We got paid back for what I came out of pocket for. But now the property's cash flowing. Now we get 80% of the cash flows. We get 80% of the depreciation, and we get 80% of that $1 million of equity that's in the property. So if we turned around and sold it tomorrow, we would get a check for $800,000 for doing work for the past 2 years. And that's one of many buildings, right, that we purchased. We didn't just buy one building. That was many buildings that we bought during that time frame. And that one building generated $800,000 of value to me and my balance sheet over the past 2 years. So
Plus,
you guys, there's nobody who couldn't pick up 100 units their first year doing this. Not anybody.
Plus now it's cash flowing. You got a new property, new roof, new everything. It's cash flowing every month, paying down your debt. So if you hold another 5 years, you get, instead of 800, now you got 1.2, let's say. You not even talking about tax benefits, depreciation, all the things. So the money you do make, you don't pay tax on. So I mean, it's just win after win after win after win. You know why you would do this.
And here's how wealth is built, right? Like all the money's off the table. It's just a bank loan in place now.
Yeah.
The building's worth today $3.25 million. If we hold this property for the next 30 years, we'll get depreciation every year. To your point, Jeremy, we'll get cash flow of it cash flows. It's just shy of 100 grand a year. So it's somewhere around like $75,000-$80,000 a year, I think, in cash flow.
That's after debt service, right?
After all operating expenses, after debt service, then we put about I don't know, let's call it $6,500 a month to $7,000 a month into our pocket. It's around 6,500, I think, of cash flow. Okay. Yeah, that's the right number. Yeah. So $6,500 a month we're taking off, right? Then the tenants are paying rent every month and it pays down our principal. Every month we make a mortgage payment. So over 30 years, we make, I don't know, 75 grand a year, which obviously gets increased as rents get bumped every single year. So that amount goes up. But let's say minimum 75 grand a year of cash flow plus depreciation, which offsets most of that income.
That's 2.2 million.
Tenants pay this thing down over the next 30 years. It's now owned free and clear. And I don't know if you guys ever look at values, but I would say over a 30-year period, most properties double in value. If you take a look at 1990 to today, you're probably double in value. If you take a look at from 2020 to what 2050 is going to do, you're probably double in value, especially with how much money they just printed last year. So now I've got a property in 30 years from now, right? Let's say I stop doing work. Let's say that's the only deal you ever do. You build that one building, or you get that one building. You make 75 grand a year for the next 30 years, passively, by the way, because I have management in place. That's after property management and everything. They pay down principal, the property appreciates, and all of a sudden, 30 years from now, the property's now probably doubled in value. That means it's worth $6.5 million, and you don't owe anything on it anymore. That means increase your net worth by your net worth is $6.5 million from doing one very attainable deal in your first year in this business and just hanging on to it, right? So like, I don't know, how many times can you do that? You do it once a year? What if you did it once a quarter? What if you did it once a month? You see how this stuff compounds? And you did that once a month for the next 5 years. And then you stopped working. Like, dude, I have after this month, or after the month of March, 400, what's 75 plus 335 is 410? Yeah. $410 million portfolio. I'm not saying this to brag, right? I'm saying this to quantify it. I've worked my tail off for the past 5.5 years to build this portfolio. If I stopped working today, right, my cash flow is what it is. You think about paying down principal for the next 30 years, properties appreciating for the next 30 years. That's an $820 million portfolio owned free and clear in 30 years from now. Right? Now, I don't own equity investors. I have joint venture partners. Let's say I own 30, I probably own 30, 35% of it. If I own 30% of it, that increases my net worth by 200. That means I'm worth $250 million 30 years from now. And I don't work.
If you don't know, do more. Yeah. And 30 years seems like a long time.
Why can't everybody do that? Everybody can do that at some level, you know?
Yeah. Everybody's like 30 years is forever, but you're getting benefits. You're getting cash flow every month. So yeah, that's 30 years is 30 years from now, but it's not like you're delaying gratification for 30 years. You're getting paid in the meantime as well.
You got
wow, you build well.
5,000 units, let's call it 500. Like, not everything's stabilized, but if everything was stabilized and if everything was cash flowing at 90% occupancy, we'd be generating around $500,000 a month in cash flow after all operating expenses, after all debt service.
Yeah.
So again, it's not there yet because we bought a bunch of stuff and we're renovating a bunch of stuff, we're bumping up values and all that kind of jazz. But in 24 months, if I stop buying properties, my portion of that would be 30%. So it's 150 G's a month. And for the next 30 years. And then, you got net worth of, dude, it's crazy. So
yeah.
All right, so maybe you don't pick up 5,000 units in the next 5 years. What if you picked up 500, right? Yeah. And you got 1/10 of what I'm talking about in my numbers. And over the next 30 years, you collect $15,000 a month in passive cash flow, along with paying down principal, properties appreciating, and your net worth $25 million 30 years from now. Dude, that's if you do 1/10 of what I did. And I know you guys are going to have thousands of units in the next 36 months. There's many people who picked up 500 units in their first 24 months, let alone the first 5 years. So it's very attainable, but you got to be in this kind of community, right? You got to be talking at high level. You can't go hang out with your friends that you used to get drunk with in high school and college and talk big numbers because they're like, what are you talking about? You got to be willing to work and surround yourself with people who think at a high level, that want to accomplish things at a high level. And they're going to push you to be more, to do more, to have more, to give more.
Yeah, that's another, not to just keep on going, because I know we're want to be respectful of your time. That's another part too, is the mindset side of it. But man, I mean, you go over a lot of that in commercial empire events and the mindset that goes into this and your circles and all that. But man, we're sold on it. I mean, we're all in, just trying to, we're doing deals, small deals, medium-sized deals, looking for the larger deals. But in the meantime, just get the momentum. But we believe in the power of it, everything you're saying here, and don't regret one penny we spent on education in the past 2 years, since we've been in the transition from our previous career to now more on the investor side of things. So still spend a lot of money on investing or on education, and look to do more of that and double it, do more of it. So get in different rooms with different people and be the dumbest one in the room, like they say. But I do have, we'll wrap it up here real soon, but I do have a couple questions that people sent in. I might ask you just about the event. So one was, I was asking, was it a 2 or 3 day event?
It's a 2-day virtual event. The next event is March. Hang on, let me pull it up. It's in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from today, March 11th and 12th.
So, okay, 11 and 12. So that answered that.
Starts at 10 a.m. Eastern time, goes till 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Someone asked you if it's
recorded.
Okay, that was the next question. So if they're working, can they watch it later? Okay.
Yeah. So you get a virtual, you get a recording of a past event immediately. So you can start working on it immediately, and then you'll get the recording of this event. It'll be available like a couple days after the event ends. So make that available. It's put into kind of like a vault. There's a bunch of tangibles and stuff too, like our letter of intent that we use, a little Excel spreadsheet, like calculator, to help you underwrite some of these deals, like a due diligence checklist. So that way, you have some tangibles as well, that when you're making these offers, it helps you through that whole process.
Yeah. We used that due diligence checklist yesterday and caught something on a property we were under contract on, and some problems down at the city hall that it's a big deal that we was about to inherit. So we got some negotiating to do. But yeah, without that, man, you can make some big mistakes. So that was the other question, documents included. So you're including some stuff in there, some underwriting tools, checklist. And then
group that we have a private
Facebook
thing community for commercial empire. Only people who've been to the event are in there. And there's a lot of deals going back and forth in there. A lot of people talking about things and bringing money, a lot of people bringing deals. And so it's a cool community of not anybody can get in there. You have to come out of commercial empire. And so everybody's vetted and they're willing to invest in themselves. They have a certain mindset that's in that group.
Okay. Well, man, that's we put the link in the comments. So anybody looking to learn more about it, click on that link. Goes in, a lot more. There's some more explaining on what all you get on the website there. Reach out to us if you have questions. Reach out to Tim. That's another thing. Maybe we share where people can find you and contact you, follow you.
Yeah.
What else? Social media.
Yeah, connect with me on Facebook. Shoot me a friend request on Facebook and on Instagram. And I'm always putting out content out there. So if you guys want to see if I'm real or if you like me, if you think I'm a jerk, like whatever that looks like, go and watch a whole bunch of the videos that I posted on Instagram and Facebook over the past couple of weeks, and get to know me. If it resonates with you, connect. Just go to the Commercial Empire link and sign up. It's $500. We have a mastermind also, but that's the only thing that we talk about. There's no upsells, there's no BS, there's no garbage, there's no ulterior motives other than give you the information. You go out and do deals. You come across big deals and you want Jeremy and Daniel and me to be involved in it, you hit us up and we'll joint venture with you, right? Like that's where we make our money. So I want to teach you guys how to go out and start building the momentum. And when the brokers start bringing you guys big deals, you need somebody to help sponsor the loan, or you need somebody to help bring some cash. Or you just want somebody to hold your hand. You hit us up and we start doing some deals together. Like candidly, that's my reason for having the coaching business, And at the very least, maybe there's give me a shout out, right? On your first deal that you do, even if I'm not involved in it. And that makes me feel good. Again, that's the stuff that kind of feeds my soul. So if there's anything that I can answer for you guys, just shoot me a message on Facebook or post in the comments here. And I'll keep an eye on this over the next several days. And any questions that you might have, just post it here. And I'll hop on and I'll answer it for you.
Cool, man. Fair enough. Enjoyed it, man. Have a great rest of your day.
you know, not only for the business and stuff that we do together, but just your friendship. You guys are rock stars, and love having you in the mastermind. Love having you guys as just friends to bounce ideas about not only business but life, and just hang out with you guys. So thank you for having
Feel
me.
the same, man. Thank you.
Likewise, yes.
Appreciate it, fellas. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and we'll see you in April at the latest.
April, yeah. In Austin, right?
That's
So,
it.
cool.
Get ready for
Looking
it.
forward to it.
All right, guys.
Sounds
Take
like
care.
a plan. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.